Battle Line podcast. And for the new listeners out there, you know what? I didn't even mention this to you, Chris. I switched up the description. And I think it was maybe holding on to what I used to do, where I would say that we were, I switched it on everything because I think it was maybe holding on to what we used to do, where I would say that it's interviews and inspiration with guys in the special operations community. And I feel like at this point, we really are more interviews and inspiration with guys in the mill community, not just special operations, because guys like Rob Furlong are not special operations, but also the Second Amendment community. And I think that that's really the gist of what we do. So the podcast is always evolving, but I think that that's really what it is. Inspiration with guys in the mill community, whether it's who served in the mill or support the mill, or Gold Star family members like Renee Nickel we had on last week, and then guys in the Second Amendment community, guys like Rob Furlong, who I would say are part of both of those communities, like yourself.
We're always have to change, dude. We have to change, and we're figuring ourselves out. I don't think we're ever going to get it exactly right as far because we talk about all sorts of different things. So you know me, man. And for all you out there that I'm so laid back, I just roll with this. Like, Ian, whatever, man. Sounds good. Let's just tell me what time I got to be on.
Yeah, I think we both have to like the idea of the guests. I think it's important that we both like whoever's coming on. Well, and we both feel like we're going to get some insight from them.
Well, and that's the thing is we are as people, there are tremendous stories out there, not just from the battlefield and people that have overcome adversity on the battlefield, or if they've gotten hurt and coming home, but just from, the people, just the type of people they are. They have overcome adversity before because they have that drive. They have the drive that I'm not going to give up no matter what. And it does, even with the family members that, you could talk to my wife, Tanya, she has that same drive. She ain't going to give up on anything. She never served in the military. I think there's an attraction there. That's probably why, military spouses are like they are. They have that same drive and that same ambition to be the best they can be as well. Tanya, for you that don't know my wife, she played Division II volleyball at the University of Nebraska in Omaha. She was player of the year her junior year. I mean, she was the best player in Division II college volleyball in the country her junior year. And then she was rated the top player throughout her senior year. Then they kind of had a mess up in the tournament where they did win the championship, and normally, but she still was an All-American. So she was an All-American almost every year. I think 3 years, sophomore, junior, and player of the year, and then her senior, obviously. That I don't think that's a coincidence. That's why we're together. We had that same passion to be the best we can be. And she also, now she's a tremendous wife, tremendous mother. She's awesome. I mean, she damn near practically raised our 13 or 18-year-old kids on her own because I was always gone. But believe me, man, for you guys that know that are at home with kids, I have a 6-year-old. That's not easy work. And I hate when the status quo out there is being a housewife's not that big a deal, or women's liberation. Women needs to work. I tell you what, when I was home for a little bit, and my Tanya was doing her thing, whether she was coaching because she coached volleyball, and I was home with the kids, I couldn't wait to get back overseas because like, holy shit, this is hard. This is not easy. I have much respect for spouses, housewives and house. I don't know, we call them house husbands now. I don't know what the term is. Much respect for the people that do that all day. That is hard ass work. It's hard, and it's very rewarding. Because I do it now when I'm home. I want to, but it's not easy. And I always took offense to it. I still do when the community out there says that you have to find where. Oh no, you're not anything in the community unless you have a job. Horseshit. If you're raising a family on your own, and you have a lot of that here in the Midwest. That is tough work, and I wouldn't trade you in a heartbeat I've done it. I do it still. I have a 6-year-old still, so most respect to all you out there. But that's why we do this, because hard work, never quit, never give up, even when you're faced with obstacles. You overcome those obstacles. Yes, we all fail. You have stories of failure. Every one of us has had a failure, but failing is just an opportunity. It's just a learning opportunity to become successful, because when you hit that obstacle again, you're not going to fail at it because you know how to overcome it. That's the show. And then we throw God in there too. And we do throw some God, but our theme is that way because that's the kind of people that we want on the show. It's motivating people. It's inspirational people. It's people that have not always been successful. but have overcome their failings to become successful. And that doesn't just mean by money. That means just in their lives themselves. So they live a good life. And then we even, brother, and you know as good as I do, we even have some that are still trying to find that are, and there are guests we've had on that are still trying to find what they are. They're still overcoming adversity, but they haven't really found that yet of where that's going to be. And that to me is inspirational as well, because to me it shows that everybody struggles, even Navy SEALs and Rangers and Special Forces guy, Delta, we all struggle. We all have the same struggles. So
yeah, and we have two incredible guests coming on this show. Usually we just have one guest on a show, but when we heard the news of the handgun ban in Canada, I said we have to get someone on for that. So who better than Rob Furlong, record-breaking sniper, and also we have Rhett Taylor coming on from Ned. We're gonna talk a little bit about Ned, but before we even do, I wanted to make sure that we mention two things real quickly. I wanted to mention, because we've talked about this on the show, for those of you who saw Top Gun Maverick, great movie.
Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it yet.
Not spoiling anything.
Don't
I'm just
spoil
saying
it.
the same post that you reposted, we were pleasantly surprised to see that due to the public outcry, they did reinstate the Taiwan patch on Tom Cruise's jacket. And, you know, in this world of like symbolic gestures, it might seem like something small, but it's important, because I think movie producers and movie makers for too long have said we have to appeal to the China market, and it doesn't matter what we need to do to appeal to that China market. And they proved that they broke records this past weekend at the box office for Memorial Day weekend, and they listened to people, which doesn't happen often enough. And I don't know, man, the public outcry, when I hear about it, I don't know if it's this show in particular. I don't know if it's many shows. Who knows? There could be someone at the studio who listened to this show and said, if we're going to make a pro-America movie, we have to do the right thing. So I just really quickly wanted to say kudos for that. And then really quickly also wanted to let you jump in here, because I know that E3 Firearms, for the first time in a long time, you're going to be doing some major media outlets to get the word out there about what you're doing with E3. And it's important to you. And I think it's important for you to get the word out that you're starting something new. And a lot of these people are probably going to hear you on shows like Andrew Wilkow and Dana Lash. Haven't heard from you in about 5 years, and they're probably gonna be excited to hear from you.
Yeah, I went dark for a while, but it was good. I needed that personally, and doing the 24/7 news cycle is not good. E and I both agree on that. But when you're in the middle of it all the time, and that's not what you want to do, it's even worse. It can drag you down, and I had to get away from it. But yeah, doing the E3 farms, when I was out there, doing training, and I still do training, of course, with Battle Line Tactical, and Battle Line Tactical will be part of E3 Farms, of course. But it's just, especially in today's society, with more so of gun laws, and you see more crime out there. Gosh, what was it? I saw a video I just recently of another New York subway. There was some crazy guy in the New York subway pinning a woman down by her hair and wouldn't let her go. And nobody intervened.
Stuff like this happens on the subway all the time.
But nobody intervened. And at least in the past, I would see at least people. This was bad. I mean, I would see New Yorkers usually would intervene, whether it was it usually wasn't a fist fight, but it was somebody walking up and, hey man, and it was normal, and you didn't see it this time. Well, anyway, what the E3 Farms, why the association, and being a co-founder with E3 Farm Association, and myself and Adam Paintshot, who is a state trooper out in New Hampshire. We wanted to get more people in that are, I think, that don't get in because they're intimidated. I think they don't get in because they see the bro vet community, they see the alpha males, the ODO rules, and I said, man, that's not firearms, and we're not getting new people in that need to get in, that need to learn how to protect themselves. Whether even if you're not carrying a gun, when you learn how to shoot, your confidence level just in your ability to defend yourself, even with just these, go up. It does. I've seen it. And we wanted to do that. I wanted to do that. I wanted to put something out there, an association and a membership, that you're not just getting a typical firearms class. If you're going to get one, you're going to get one like we did with the Copper Ticket, which was amazing. And it was very fun and enjoyable. But we're getting it where we're getting new members in that may not want to go down to the gun range because they feel ostracized, or they feel uncomfortable. They feel like it's a good old boys club when you go in, or you go to ranges where the instructors are complete arrogant assholes. Seen it. There are a lot of great instructors out there. Don't get me wrong. We had Chris Dutch Moyer. He's a tremendous instructor. Rob is a tremendous instructor. Good guys. But there are many out there that they are intimidating for just the normal person. Or handgun purchases in the U.S., honestly, they're up most with single mothers or with mothers. Not single, but with mothers, women. Well, they need to know how to use that gun, and having a non-intimidating, non-intrusive environment to come learn, where people smile and laugh and have a good time. That's the best place to do it. And that's why we started E3 Farms Association. It's part of E3 Association, which is under a bigger umbrella. They've been around for a long time. A lot of outdoor stuff they do. E3 Farms is just a part of that. But it's also getting outdoors for guys that do like to shoot. The therapy of being outdoors and shooting with people that like to shoot guns and like to smile and be happy. So I can't wait for it. I know we'll be pushing it a little bit. I know, we'll have to be on some shows. We'll try to promote it out there when I know if I'm going to be on them. But it really is. It's to bring new people into the community and making the Second Amendment still stronger, because there's an attack on it right now, guys. And I don't want the politicians in DC to do what the politicians in Canada are doing and take away your ability to defend yourself. As we've also seen in Texas, and I'm not going to beat up the cops, but they're not always going to respond, or they're not going to be able to respond. You have to have the ability to defend yourself and your family. But if you're going to do that and you're going to learn, why not learn in an environment where you're going to see my smiling face all the time, where we're not going to beat you up if you, I mean, physically, metaphorically, or literally, if you make a mistake, we're going to be out there laughing and teaching with you.
And in terms of what you're saying with Canada, we're going to get in depth with that with Rob Furlong. So it's at E3 Association on Instagram. That's the best place to find, right? I don't know if you want to give the website at E3 Association on Instagram.
That's great on Instagram. Honestly, the best place to see what E3 Association and even the farms is all about is go to e3association.com, or just search E3 Association. The first thing that pops up is the actual association. And if you're not interested in firearms, they have, we have camping, overland, we have off-roading, aviation, fishing. It's just a tremendous organization that offers memberships to be out in the great outdoors and be around people. And then also, of course, deals on products. That's huge.
So check it out, guys. E3 Association. With that, we're going to talk more in depth about Ned. So I'm going to make this one quick for you guys, because we have Rhett on. We're going to talk about it, about everything. But in terms of your daily ritual, Ned fits very much into my daily ritual. And for me, it's just the 300 milligram. That's the lower dosage. And that's one of the lower price point products. That's all I really need to take there. And if you're a first-time subscriber with Ned, or a first-time user with Ned, you're going to get 15% off through us. So these products are science-backed, nature-based solutions that offer an alternative to prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Ned CBD is cold extracted from the world's purest USDA-certified organic hemp in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So they share third-party lab reports, who farms their products, and their extraction process, all right there on their site. They have over 2,000 5-star reviews as well. So become the best version of yourself. And if you're new to Ned, you're going to get 15% off their products with code BATTLELINE. Go to helloned.com/BATTLELINE, or enter BATTLELINE at checkout. That's HELLONED.com/BATTLELINE to get 15% off. Thank you, Ned, for sponsoring our show and offering our listeners a remedy for some of life's most common health issues. We're going to get way more in depth with that with Rhett later on in the show. Also, of course, I'm currently drinking Bub's Naturals. I'm doing the, right there in the back. I'm doing the collagen protein with the MCT oil. And to be honest, I wanted to restock the collagen protein. I wasn't usually taking the MCT oil, but I actually regularly chop up coconuts, which is a hard thing to do. You got to get the hammer out, and there's a lot of health benefits to taking coconut. So I realized it was an easier way to really get those benefits to mix the collagen with the MCT oil, and it actually gives it a better taste. So I'm sold on everything, honestly.
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't been doing that. MCT oil is amazing. In the coffee, it tastes great. I do it both with the collagen and then the MCT oil, and it's a great pre-workout. Coconut oil gives you that extra oomph before you go work out. It does. And it doesn't have those terrible side effects that drinking a Red Bull or something may get, that you want to go get, like the heartburn. Yeah, man. MCT oil. Don't go cutting up coconuts. Take the MCT oil. And you're right. It tastes good. I think it tastes great.
It is a good, yeah.
It's
And
fantastic.
for people who don't regularly eat coconuts, I mean, it's not like that artificial coconut flavor because it's real coconuts. So if you're not used to it, it might not be what you're used to. I like the taste of actual coconut, so I'm into it. I'm actually just drinking this with water, and we recorded everything in advance. So that's why I'm just about done with all this. But yeah, it's just cold water, the MCT oil powder with the collagen protein. You really can't beat it for post workout. And I did work out prior to doing the show, so that's why I had to take it. So bubsnaturals.com. Use the promo code BattleLine for 20% off. That's bubsnaturals.com. Promo code BattleLine for 20% off.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battle Line Podcast.
Joining us for the second time on the podcast. The first time he was on, unfortunately, Chris was not here. But to me, I'm going to say it. I don't know if you would say it, Rob, but pretty much like a national hero of Canada. Rob Furlong, retired Canadian Army sniper and as well as former police officer. And I do say that for those who don't know, and I think a lot of people do know your name. You are the man who broke the record previously held by Carlos Hathcock for the longest confirmed kill in combat at an amazing 2,430 meters or 2,657 yards. And now, much like Chris, you're a firearms instructor. You run the Rob Furlong Marksmanship Academy. And it was long overdue to have you on. But when I heard about this insane handgun ban in Canada, I said, we have to have Rob on. So it's an honor to have you back.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. And again, just to touch on what you copied there, I'm flattered. Huge team effort. It wasn't just me. I was just a guy who pulled the trigger. But yeah, we're real happy with what we accomplished back then. And you know, we in saying that we broke Carlos's record. I mean, he was the godfather, and how he did it and how we did it and how guys continue to do it. We're all in different generations, different equipment. So yeah, take away nothing from what Carlos did.
Oh yeah, I don't even know. I can't even see 200 meters anymore, dude. I don't know. I know you. I know we have scopes and all this other wazoo, but still, though, that's man. To even just see that far, is amazing. That's why I never was a sniper. I think I'm the only guy. Now you're legitimately a sniper, and you know as good as I do. Everybody's a freaking sniper out there, except for the ones that aren't. Right? But everybody is. But I am legitimately not a sniper at all because I can't see past my freaking front foot. So. But I hats off to you, man. Seriously, and you know, I was in country when you were doing that stuff too, and you know, when we heard about it, I was at the agency at the time. It was like, wow, that's fucking amazing. Yeah, every one of us. It was because like I said, I can't even see that far on Halo or Call of Duty we were playing. It's like, Jesus, how the hell is he even see? What did he have? Like a 500 magnifications? I mean, it was just unbelievable. So, brother, hats off to you, and yeah, I'm honored to have you on. I'm glad I got to come back on with you. And really, yeah, with this Canadian stuff, I was talking with your prime minister or whatever he is, banning handguns. I really wanted your perspective on this because, you know, being military, I think we get a common sense perspective from a military person, someone that's still a fire instructor. And I know absolutely nothing about Canada and its politics. I just don't know how one person who used to be a kindergarten teacher can all of a sudden make a rule thinking that and again, if we're completely on the different sides of the continuum, I doubt we are, but if we are, I still feel that way. I'm like, man, how the hell does this guy that has no idea really what firearms are just make a blanket loss? Man, please give us your input, man. That's why I wanted you on here for more than anything, was just to, I know you know what the hell you're doing, and you also are in Canada, so it's perfect, brother. So tell me, what's your feelings, bro?
Well, you have your personal feelings, and then you have what's happening globally and politically within Canada. So personally, I think an overreaction based on what's happening around the world, more specifically within the United States recently with the unfortunate shooting. I think we have to first look at why they're doing this, and there is a movement within this country and so in the United States too as well, to disarm. And the government, I believe, and again, this is a lot of my personal feelings from what I understand, are following what the UN has wanted for a long while. And this is no secret. This is nothing that, I'm thinking up on my own. You can look this up online. And the UN for a long while has had the interest for a disarmament of civilian populations. And the way that they were looking at it is, well, without firearms, we could have a more peaceful society. And I mean, we don't have to go too far back in our past to realize that doesn't go hand in hand. Disarming a population and thinking that you'll have no further violence, it's a rational thought by some people, but it doesn't turn into reality.
No, it's a fantasy. It's a definite fantasy.
It does. The problem we have, I believe, is a society problem, not so much a firearms problem. We have very sick individuals who are 100% dealing with mental health concerns and taking a tool to carry out their acts of violence. Now, if you take away that tool, you've done nothing to address the core issue, which is the mental health. And, I think this is that solution to appease the small populace, the portion of the population that want to see firearms taken away. And we have groups within Canada, both on the civilian side, there's an entity on the medical professional side that want to see firearms taken away. And, we have had some mass shootings. We had the Polytechnique tragedy, I believe, forgive me here the dates, but I believe it was in the 80s. And I feel for all those families. Anybody who loses anybody in a violent act is extremely traumatic. And I would never try to diminish anything that they're personally going through. But looking at it from, not only an ex-military member, but a law enforcement member, there's other issues that we have to look at. Putting a Band-Aid on it and just getting rid of the firearms is not necessarily going to address the core issue, and that's high-risk individuals within the community and mental health. And how do we do that? And I've had this discussion with people in the past, and they said, well, the firearms is the first step. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's put that on the table, and let's take the firearms and put it in a jar, and let's put it over to the end of the table. It's gone. There are no more firearms. The only people who own firearms are law enforcement and military personnel. So what are we left with? We're left with a disarmed populace who are still dealing with mental health, addictions, racism, a whole bunch of other things that, when acted upon, results in these severe acts of violence. How do we address those? So if we can for a minute just try to not focus on the guns and focus on that, we failed in a society for a long while, knowing that these things were present and never address them. And no matter what political party is in power, they're always under some pressure, either from the pro or the against firearms. And it's only on the table when something severe happens. And only then does the mental health and the violent individuals come to the forefront. As soon as the discussion of guns happens, the mental health and the violent individuals, that goes away as well. And we never really truly address it. In Canada, firearm violence is not an issue within the law-abiding registered gun owner community.
And truthfully, I was just going to jump in and say, truthfully, it's not even the issue, even with the illegal guns that America has. I mean, Chris and I have said this is a cultural issue, but even though Canada has a similar issue, the truth is, and I couldn't tell you the reason why, Canada does not deal with the mass shootings that America does. I don't know why, but they don't.
Well, I don't want to get too sidetracked because I want to cover up, but
sure.
I mean,
no,
and we're talking about a population smaller than the population of California.
Sure,
so if we look at it at a percentage wise, we do have gun violence, but look at who's committing the gun violence. You know, we need to look at the core problem. The gun violence that happens in Canada are often by individuals who are, we'll call, on the radar. And what I mean by that, it's not an agency like the CIA or something that's watching that guy. It's your local law enforcement. It's community members. It's friends. It's family. It's intimate partners. They're aware that something is wrong and never truly act upon it. Now, family and intimate partners and so forth, there could be some issues like, a fear of retaliation and so forth. Law enforcement, I can speak to this because I've worked there. We can be aware of somebody, but our hands are often tied behind our back because there's so much red tape is what I want to call it. There's privacy issues. There's even if there's information there, if we write an information to obtain, whether it be a search warrant or whatever you have, we may not even get that sworn by a justice of peace or a judge because we may lack enough evidence. We may not have the whole piece of the pie. And it's not because they don't want to, it's they're often held back by bureaucracy. And that has to change. Now, could we stop all of them? No. Let's be honest with ourselves. There's the hidden guys out there who are dealing with some severe mental health and are thinking of ways to hurt other people, and regardless of what you do, they're going to carry it out. Now, if we take guns away, if you're dealing with a severely, I want to call, evil person who's thinking up these things like we just had happen, unfortunately, in the United States, if he doesn't have a gun, they will find other ways.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Ian yesterday when we were talking about putting this together, and I said, there is a lot of ways out there to harm other people. You don't have to go into your local hunting store to pick up your tool of choice. You can use poison. You can use explosives. I'm not trying to give ideas here, but there is a lot of other things that you can do as a mentally unstable, evil person to inflict harm on others. We saw that at the Boston Marathon. We've seen it in numerous other places where firearms weren't available.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, those firearms weren't available to those people. They struggled to obtain firearms. There's been proof that they tried to obtain firearms in certain incidents, and they reverted to other tools. We don't have a problem with healthy, law-abiding, everyday citizens going out and committing acts of violence. And why that is that they follow the rule of law. If you have an everyday Joe who's a registered gun owner, who follows the word of law, he doesn't do something, when he becomes upset, when he becomes, distraught about something, his first reaction is not to go grab his firearm and deal with an issue. Yeah. It's, the normal steps of communication or involving law enforcement or so forth. But let's say he does get to the point where he thinks about that. Maybe I need to involve myself in the situation with a firearm. What often holds people back is, if they're a good law-abiding person, is the threat of penalty, the threat of incarceration, which opens the door right now to a huge issue that we have in this country. At one time, there was severe punishment in Canada if you committed, any gross bodily harm or death to somebody. And that's no longer the case in Canada. In the last 4 years, and this is coming directly from people within our corrections community, the push from our government down to our our member of parliament to the wardens in the prisons is get them out, rehabilitate, reassimilate, get these people back in the community. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. They are a little raw, but I think this is a raw topic right now.
Sure. Yeah, it's the same thing we're seeing in New York City, LA. So yeah, let us know.
So, this past year, we had a mother and her newborn child in their apartment, and the husband goes to work. When the husband goes to work, a known violent criminal, don't quote me on this, I think he may have been a registered sex offender, but I can't recall that right now, who was out on probation. So he's in this system of rehabilitate, reassimilate, and reintegrate into the populace. He walks across the hallway and kills the mother and infant in their apartment. Now, not only was there a violent criminal living in an apartment building, which is completely absurd, who had just been released from prison, nobody was made aware that he was in the building. Wow. Now, if there was somebody with a large gun collection, I'm sure that somebody would have known where he was. Not to get off topic, but not only did the people in the building not know that he was present in that dwelling, but you also had a report from the law enforcement that they were unaware of his residence at the time. So how is it that you could have such a violent criminal? This has nothing to do with handguns. This has nothing to do with any sort of firearm. This is a violent act that was done without the use of a weapon and committed on innocent people. But how could you imagine that we don't have a tracking system? We don't have somewhere to manage these people. These people should not be in our society. This is the problem that we're having. We're becoming comfortable with allowing violent criminals to remain in our society. This is a mistake. It's a mistake that we're going to learn the hard way, that we are learning currently. And we're going to lose more innocent people. We're going to lose more moms, more dads, more kids. This is going to continue. You can take the firearms away. Remember, we put them in a bottle. It's not a factor here. And this is still going to continue. Until we are honest with ourselves and try to come up with some real life solutions and deterrents that are going to make these individuals, even if they are released from prison, they're going to think twice about their actions. We should 100%, and I've had this conversation with many of my friends and other individuals within the law enforcement community, we need to bring back very, very strict sentences around the use of weapons, whether that be a knife, a bat, a hammer, or a firearm. If you commit gross bodily harm or death to an individual, then you're done. It's life in prison. You know, a lot of guys, you hear the conversation too is, you know, why don't we have the death penalty for people who've committed these severe acts against innocent people. And, you get the argument for and against, and I'm not going to argue that right now, but why is that so taboo to talk about when we're dealing with these types of violence, like real evil acts of violence like we just had? I don't know why, but I'm hence the guess that it's because we've become so politically correct and such a soft society that we don't even want to talk about it. We don't want to address the elephant in the room. And it's easier just to put a Band-Aid on it, have the appearance of that we're doing something. And in fact, we're only taking away a tool. That's all we're doing here. And left holding the bag is a lot of great Canadians who are ex-military, current military, ex-law enforcement, current law enforcement, law-abiding citizens, hunters, enthusiasts, sports individuals, competition, people who really promote what we'll say responsible firearm ownership. They're left holding the bag right now. They're losing a lot. Not only are they losing property and rights to their property, they're also losing passion. A lot of people, including myself, have put a lot of time, effort, dedication, careers into firearms and firearm sports. And it's real sad to see that we're losing it because of sick, demented, evil individuals who are a very small percentage. I guess in long form, guys, that's my personal opinion on things, and I just think we're not seeing the forest for the trees. The solutions to end this isn't necessarily taking your firearms away; it's dealing with the core problem. And I haven't heard anybody talk about any of that. If anything, we're seeing a loosening and reduction in punishment for people committing crimes with firearms. So I don't know what the answer is.
And that's where I guess I got three questions, and I want to make sure, because I do want your opinions on them. But yeah, you're right. It's always the push of political agendas in the name of protection of people, and that's never the case, man. Especially with terrible politicians. And I really, I don't know. I don't live in Canada, but I really don't think highly of your PM at all. But that's my first question leading in there, brother. How are there no, and I don't know how the system works. Forgive my ignorance for all you poli-sci people out there, for everybody that knows government. I don't. I try not to get into too much. But how is there no checks and balances? How is there nothing to stop the Trudeau, I don't even want to call him PM, the Trudeau, to just implement something like this? And it's a knee jerk, and it is, but it's also a political knee jerk. And it's also handguns. Handguns had nothing to do with what happened in Texas, had nothing to do with it. So to me, it was just, again, an agenda. Well, our agenda is to really get everybody guns out of Canada, which that. It's obviously why you're talking about it. But is there any checks and balances? Is there anything you can do? Is there anything in Parliament or any other politicians they can do to say, whoa, wait a second, like we have it here in America, we have a checks and balances. We have Congress that can say, no, President, you're out of line, and vice versa, and that can even go to the judiciary. Is there nothing that you can do? Is there nothing that Canadians can do to stop this at all? Just to say, nope, we're not doing this. No way. Well,
yes, we not exactly like how the U.S. government is set up to pass bills, but how Canada works is a sitting government with a majority government. And right now, even though our Liberal government doesn't have a majority government, they have the support of a secondary party called the NDP, who are standing with them on this bill. And if they agree, they can push it to the House of Commons. So their first step is to bring the bill forward, which they have. So this is what they've launched so far. Isn't really law, it's a bill. Okay. So the bill will be argued in the House of Commons, and I'm pretty confident that will pass with the support of the NDP government. Once that happens, then it'll go through our Senate. So like your guys' House. And then it will be voted upon and debated and voted upon. Now, if the majority of the Senate are liberal leaning, then of course the bill will go through. What you're seeing right now is because of the climate. It's a hot topic, and there's a lot of pressure on the government and the politicians to get rid of handguns, get rid of semi-autos, and this is slowly ripping off the Band-Aid, a death by 1,000 cuts, if you will.
Sure. Yep.
So we've been going through this now for quite some time with the sitting government, and it started with the carbines. So a list, as you guys were aware, last year come out, and they were a bunch of firearms, whether they were classified as restricted or non-restricted. They were now made prohibited overnight, and it got pushed through, and the writing was on the wall. The appetite for that had been there for a long while. I don't think there was any firearms owner that was real surprised to see that brought forward. Then there was talks of a handgun ban, and the handgun ban was going to be passed down to the provinces, even down to the municipal level, like a city level, to make the laws themselves if they want to allow firearms within their borders. And of course, as you guys have heard the last couple of days, they kind of bypassed that and then just made this new blanket bill. This to me, excuse me, this to me feels more like the UN agenda for disarmament rather than a Canadian public safety sort of position. Again, I'm not.
Did the Canadians know this as much? If they knew this, would they be? Because I know in America, if anything UN related came into the U.S., like the UN is pushing this, we would push way back hard. Are the Canadians just okay with the UN influencing their laws? And I know this is a hot topic right now, but like you said, it's once it's in, and as good as I do working in countries overseas, once a law or a rule is in, no matter who's in charge, it's hard to reverse that thing.
Yeah,
do they not understand that when the UN is involved, nothing good has ever come from, my opinion, as from the UN, and they're influencing things they have no business influencing. And do people not know this, or are they just saying, "Oh, you know what? Fuck it, we're going to accept it. Yeah, we're just going to take it. We're going to take it in the ass. Screw it, we're done."
The thing about the United States, and the foresight of your forefathers, seeing this being a topic at some point in the future, is pretty amazing. For them to write the way they did in the Constitution is the reason why America has the grounds to push back on any sort of action against firearms. Whereas in Canada, we don't have any such law in place to kind of protect our property rights. Now, if you want to look at our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that's there. That's very soft. It's been rewritten. It could be rewritten with the stroke of a pen. It's not a constitution. If my thing for you guys is fight tooth and nail, because you have something to fight for. In Canada, we don't have that, so we're held to the sitting government and how they feel about firearms. And we're in a position right now with the current government where there's an appetite for disarmament, and that's the political climate we're in. That's the situation that we're living through right now. And to be honest, other than writing an email and calling your ombudsman or your member of parliament, there's very little that can be done right now, because once you have enough people supporting a bill and pushing it through to make it law at the government level, it doesn't matter what the masses think. And I do believe that this is a minority that's wanting this. I truly believe people will say, how do you know that? Well, There hasn't been anybody mail out a bill to every Canadian citizen that we can send back and have an actual true majority vote on it. This is just the actions of a government, I think, supporting the minority and taking away people's property, which I think is a huge loss, because it's a slippery slope. Chris, you've been to places in the world when you start to lose rights and you end up in very bad position. Right now it's firearms, and let's take the firearms away. They're gone. What happens tomorrow when, okay, we're not having mass shootings, we're not having, a gang problem or whatever, but all of a sudden we're starting to notice, man, a lot of our kids are getting killed on ATVs. Have anybody noticed that? And all of a sudden we got an interest from the population. You know what? Let's get rid of ATVs. Nobody really needs an ATV. We have horses, and you know what? We got an overweight problem too. Everybody should be walking. So let's just get rid of ATVs. Okay. And you know what? While we're at it, nobody needs a high-powered motorcycle. You give me one reason why you need anything over 450 cc's. Speed limits in Canada max out at 110 kilometers. 450 cc's will give you the passing power you need, and that's all. More people will die in this country due to speed-related accidents than any firearms. So now are we going to
go same with this country? Same with
horsepower here. And so a real childish argument, and I've heard it before, and I'm only bringing up to touch on it because it's an argument I've heard before, but I'm trying to just make an example of, once you start to be comfortable with government seizing and taking away property, now you've started on a very slippery slope.
I don't mean to. I just want to point out one thing, because it totally relates to what you're saying, and we don't really get that political on this show. It's just not what we do. But I have to bring it up because other people have brought it up. I mean, just this past week, we saw Speaker Pelosi's husband arrested for a DUI. Way more people losing their lives due to people getting drunk behind the wheel than due to firearms. And these are the people who are going to pass the laws in the name of safety. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
No, you're spot on. It's and Rob, it's a domino effect, and we both have seen that domino effect. And you keep losing, and when you put an insecure person in charge, and they find that they have some power, this is what it continues to be. They continue to take things away because all of a sudden they believe they know best and they know better than anybody else, even though they really haven't done anything as far as common sense in their lives, except maybe sit in a political position, which is obviously not common sense. We've seen that by many politicians, but you're spot on. I mean, if you're going to take one thing away, then, hey, well, there's more deaths from driving. Let's take cars away. Hey, there's more deaths from smoking. When are we going to stop that? Hey, there's more deaths from heart attacks and heart disease. When are we going to take all the McDonald's and everything? I mean, that's the silliness. And it's not, I shouldn't even say silly. And I know you said it's not a silly argument. It's spot on. If we really cared, then let's start looking at all these things that we still do and we're okay with, that cause a lot more deaths out there. Fentanyl, in the U.S., we're teaching kids how to take fentanyl because it's going to be accepted now because heroin's okay. We're doing that in the U.S. How many deaths do we have from drug overdoses? But we're okay with that. So I get you.
That's a great point that you just made, Chris, because we're seeing, and I'm just repeating the word here, an epidemic here in this country, a real epidemic. With overdoses and fentanyl and so forth. I worked drugs and gangs for numerous years. Even the appetite in the courts to have these big, expensive court cases to prosecute high-level organized crime is not there anymore. They don't even want to do that anymore. It's costly. The chances of conviction come up. Oh, well, I don't want to lose this major case. It'll affect me as a prosecutor and my reputation. There's all kinds of underlying issues that I believe if this Canadian citizens, if all this is brought forward and it was transparent to everybody, they'd be extremely upset. But you know what? One of the things I wanted to do on this program was let's do something different, because the arguments we're having now, I've heard.
Yeah, you're right.
Every time I listen to anything related in gun control on any show, any news broadcasting, any podcast, anywhere. But you know what we never hear is what would you do to fix this problem? How do we get rid of mass shootings? How do we get rid of gang crime? How do we get rid of intimate partner assaults and murders? And that's what nobody ever talks about. And we don't put the pressure on our government now is, okay, you're taking away the firearms to get rid of the violence. Okay, if you're doing that, attached to this, I also want to see the steps brought in. I want to see another bill followed up with this as to how, if this is a public safety concern, which is what we're being told, I want something else added to this as a Canadian citizen. If you're going to take away the guns, I want to see severe punishment increases for violent crimes, not just firearms, violent crimes, assault, bodily harm, death. I want to see maximum sentence. We just had an individual who conducted I want to call it a mass shooting, an active shooter, unfortunately, at a mosque in Quebec, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that. But he was supposed to be given 75 years or whatever it is, consecutive sentences. Now, he was just granted the chance of parole after 25 years. So how is it that a sitting government can talk about public safety and wanting to disarm a populace, but at the other side of the mouth be wanting to lessen the punishments for these extremely dangerous individuals and rehabilitate and reassimilate them into the public? I don't worry. In Canada, guys, I walk everywhere. I'm in a major city in Canada. I walk everywhere. I don't fear anything. Yeah, is there parts of town that you want to be leery of? I think every town has that. You're probably going to be asked for your pocket change or your wallet or your phone, but I don't worry about being shot. I don't worry about being stabbed. Anybody who tells you that, I think would be blowing out of proportion.
Yeah.
But what I do worry about when I go out or my kids go out or my wife goes to work, I'm worried about an impaired driver. I'm extremely worried about high drivers now because we have a big problem with people smoking dope and driving and operating vehicles. Those are things that I worry about. I worry about violent sex offenders and violent criminals being out. I'm fully aware. I worked in Edmonton, and I've seen what type of individuals are walking the street that are capable of, maybe it's not going to be murder, but they'll smash your face in. Yeah. So why is that not in a bill? If you're so worried about my public safety and the public safety of Canadian citizens, can I please also attach to your bill, have some real punishment, something with teeth there to make a criminal go, oh shit, man, you know what? I'm out on probation. That's one strike. If I hurt somebody right now or commit a secondary crime, I'm going for the rest of my life. No 3-strike rule, none of this. I'm all about giving somebody a second chance. If they are out and as a kid, they're caught at 16 years old and they're selling dope or something like that, most often these younger kids are influenced by older shitheads. Yeah. I'm all about protecting our youth. But if you are a 40-year-old male and you have 60 to 70 different criminal charges, and now you've made it past, guys, I know you're laughing, but
it's true.
I've gone through the guys' rap sheets before. Like, they are literally guys with a lot more than that.
It's a laugh of disgust, Rob, more than anything.
It's not. It is, and I know it's unbelievable, and I just feel people are not aware of it. But there are criminals, and as they come up through the system, they just become harder and harder and more violent and more vile and ignorant because they have nothing else to lose. What is one more charge to my other 65 charges? They don't care. I'm going back to prison. I'll go in and hang out with my buddies for another little bit. I'll eat good. I'll work out in the gym. Nobody can say anything because in Canada, the punishment is going to prison. You're not allowed to punish once they're in prison. They're not allowed to. You can't put coveralls on them anymore. They got to be allowed to wear their own clothing. It cost the Canadian taxpayers in Canada, on average, $120,000 a year to house and feed and take care and look after an inmate. $120,000.
I know that we see the same thing, because I was going to say with New York, the same thing with these rap sheets. There was a rise in anti-Asian violence, and then you looked at the people perpetrating these acts of violence, and it was the same thing. They've been to jail, as you said, 50 times, 60 times. And why are they not still in jail? I'm wrapping this up just because we do have to get to Rhett, who we promised we were going to get to at a certain point. But I wanted to ask you one last question really quick, just to be clear on this. So our friend Corey from Coat of Arms TV, who we know you from, shout out to Corey, of course. I saw that he posted something, great guys. And I saw that he posted something about Trudeau, a meme that was like, when you try to ban handguns, but you end up like selling the most handguns in history of Canada. So I just wanted to make sure of the clarity of this. So as of right now, can Canadians buy handguns? Is it going to be like a certain amount of time till this goes through completely?
So as of today, yes, you can still purchase a handgun in Canada, to my understanding.
And I'm sure there's lines out the door.
Yeah, and because this is so fresh, I've read a little, but still it's not very transparent. For my understanding, as a registered firearms owner, if you hold a handgun, you can still use it. You can go to the range. There's very strict rules in Canada about the use of firearm anyway. You can only travel to your range and back. It has storage regulations. There's a whole bunch of rules. Like in Canada, you can't just carry your firearm around your vehicle. That's a chargeable criminal offense. So there hasn't been a whole lot of information released in terms of what's going to happen down the road. I don't have a good feeling. I think this may be just step one. Remember I said death by 1,000 cuts. I just see that, maybe they're waiting for the people to die off, and then guns will be turned in and destroyed in the future and so forth. I have a really bad feeling that in the future it'll be also confiscation, and you'll have to turn in your firearms, much like what's coming for the semi-automatic carbine platforms that they've prohibited. So
if people don't fight back, I was just going to say, if people don't fight back, I think it's coming to America as well, because we currently have the same type of administration that has the same ideas. I don't mean to cut you off. As I said, we do have to get to Rhett Taylor, though.
Yeah, Rob, I'd like to have you back on again, because I even got some more questions, man. And just
100%, brother.
I like your insight, man. You're a lot more well-spoken. You're a lot better well-spoken than I am, with your grasp of the English language very well better than me. I tell you what. but hey, yeah, brother, I really, I want to talk to you about social media and its influence, because I do, honestly, the 24/7 media and social media, I look at that as also a variable that is increasing, because it now can sensationalize. You got these kids thinking that they're the Joker out there, because you can actually push all these things. The Buffalo shooting, they coordinated on social media. So and we're not addressing that either. And the social media, the Zuckerbergs of the world are completely silent as well, and they shouldn't be. They have just as big, if not a bigger hand in this than the firearms community, and then the 24/7 news cycle.
Yeah, we'll continue with this at a certain point. I hate to,
no, that's why
we got to get to Rhett, though, because we've rescheduled him several times, so we got to get to him. But I do want to, of course, mention you could follow Rob on social media. It's not Rob particularly; it's really Rob's Marksmanship Academy. So it's at RFMA_official, at RFMA_official, which is Rob Furlong's Marksmanship Academy, rfma.ca, rfma.ca. And we'll do this again sometime, Rob. This was awesome. And I do think I echo with what Chris said. You have great insight on all of this.
And
Thanks
if
a
you
lot,
want to
guys.
learn how to shoot, brother, we want to push you, dude. We definitely want, because obviously you know how to fucking shoot. There's no question.
You know what? I
There's no
just have a
question
lot of
about
great
it.
instructors. That's the secret.
Dude, as we get older, I say we get older. Let's get the young fire breathers that I used to be, that I don't want to be anymore, out there.
Roger.
But hey, buddy, hats off to you again. You are a legend, man, in the community, in the special ops community, especially. God bless you, brother. And yeah, no, we're having you back on, man. This was awesome. You're amazing, bro.
Thanks, guys, and look forward to it. Talk to you real soon.
Thanks,
All right,
Rob.
buddy. Be safe, man.
Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Rob Furlong. Loved having Rob on. I think he offered some great insight into everything going on in Canada. And although, look, I know some of the answers were kind of long-winded, but I think the fact that he's more focused on solutions as opposed to yelling about, I think we would bring a lot of people on and they would just be yelling about Trudeau. And I don't think that really solves anything. I think he offered a lot of insight.
No, he did a good job. Really good job. Excellent job.
Yeah. And before we get to our second half of the show with Rhett from Ned, which we're very excited for, we want to talk about firearms, and we want to talk about the best ammo company on the planet, and that's none other than Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it will be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states. Just go to fortscottmunitions.com. Link is right there in the description. Fort Scott, MUNITIONS.com. And in every state, you're going to find a dealer. You just type in your zip code, and you're going to get it right there. So use the exclusive promo code BATTLELINE for 15% off any of their merch, only available to listeners of the Battle Line podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battle Line Tactical, and the Battle Line podcast. FortScottMunitions.com, promo code BattleLine for 15% off. And while we're talking ammo, we got to talk night vision. The greatest night vision out there is Photonis Defense. They're really the leaders out there. And that's why I have people hitting me up on Instagram who are part of Border Patrol. They're looking to get involved. And I think they're getting involved with the best company out there, the most reputable company that works with real Navy SEALs, Marines like Phil Otto at the company. So Photonis Defense, right? Phil was a Marine and contractor.
Phil was a Marine, and he wasn't. He was a GRS contractor with the agency, and a great guy. And you're right. And brother, keep going. You're killing it. I love it.
Yeah, so they do a great job. Photonis Defense is the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high-quality night vision capabilities than anyone. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and outdoor enthusiasts rely on Photonis Defense systems to make their adventures safer and more successful. Military, law enforcement, and public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Photonis Defense is now offering state-of-the-art night vision systems, from the PD Pro B 16mm binocular and the PD Pro M 16mm monocular to the PD Pro Q panoramic night vision system. Customers from all over are excited about these new, smaller, lighter NVGs. You've got to see these things to really experience how much smaller and lighter they are than anything you've used previously. Visit photonisdefense.com, PHOTONIS defense.com, photonisdefense.com for more information, or look for Photonis Defense product options from your night vision dealer. We got the interview with Rhett right here. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to add before we get over to Rhett.
Just you supervisors and that's cool. The Border Patrol, the BORTEC team. Hey guys, you're doing your team a disservice if you're not giving them the best equipment to come home alive. And Photonis, as far as night vision goes, they're the best out there by far. So leaders, get on the horn to Photonis and get your guys the best night vision that so they come home at night. And if that isn't enough to sell you on it, then I don't know what is. That's it.
Well said, man. So joining us, long time in the making, first time on the podcast, is Rhett Taylor, co-founder of Ned, a guy that we've really been in touch with now since almost the origin of this podcast, basically going on 2.5 years. And to give some background on Rhett, I mean, we're going to get into CBD, we're going to get into alternative medicine, but Rhett co-founded Ned with Adrian Zimmerman. And Rhett basically discovered CBD years before it became this popular thing on the market. And it was because of your mother, who was diagnosed with cancer, and she decided not to go with chemo, or not to go with this radiation. And you wanted to really get involved with what alternative remedies are out there. And then you started to learn more and more about CBD, wanted to start your own company, but wanted to make sure it was American made, the right farms. And then you hooked up with a farmer in Paonia, Colorado, as we all know. And history has been made. And I could say for Chris and myself, I was skeptical of CBD at first, and now it's become a daily part of my life, really thanks to you guys.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, Rhett. You're the man. I tell you what, I know that's a great intro, and I'm going to cut off because I want to make sure that I get this out there. Brother, your stuff, and I suffer, I'm an inflammatory bowel disease sufferer, been for years. And bro, it has completely wiped that off. It's been, the inflammation in my joints is gone. You know, I just had a scope. I get a scope every 2 years. Love getting the colonoscopies every 2 years. And it's completely in remission. It's completely in remission, right? I had nothing. There were no remnants anywhere of me having my ulcerative colitis. So, and the body butter, dude, my old butt, I still think I can do my 30-year-old things out there running 7 miles. Man, and I just saw today, I got the text today that you're actually doing another topical analgesic that with the anti-inflammatory. So I'm definitely hooking myself up with that. So just personally, I wanted to say thank you, because your product has given me again another lease on life, that I'm able to be healthy again. So man, thank you, brother. And from Western Colorado, I mean, I can't, that's home. That's awesome. So thank you so much.
Hey, of course. And thank you guys. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Ian. And, you know, we've been with you guys since, I think, before you started the podcast. We started working with you very early on. It's just been a beautiful relationship ever since. And, you know, listen to all your shows and hear all the spots for Ned. And man, I don't know if there's anything I can say that about Ned that you guys haven't already said, and that your listeners don't already know, but would love to get into it. And just, you know, really appreciate you guys. When Adrian and I first started the business, we said to ourselves, we want to be the type of business that shows, not tells. Show, don't tell. And but it's important. It's important to be able to tell. And that's why we're, you know, one of the reasons why we're so grateful to you guys who tell for us. So thank you guys.
Oh, absolutely. And I think just to get into everything, what would you say is, besides what I mentioned, you know, quickly in the intro, what is your origin story? How did this all come about, and what got you interested in alternative medicine beyond, you know, what I spoke of earlier?
Yeah. Well, you know, there's two paths for me. But you mentioned my mom. My mom had breast cancer back in 2014. They were very fortunate, and they caught it very early. And she was in a position where she could make the decision to forego chemo and radiation. She decided she would, which felt, you know, really brave for me, but also scared the hell out of me, because I thought, man, Mom, I want you to do everything you possibly can to stay healthy and stay alive. And she said, nope, I've made the decision. And I said, all right, then I'm going to go learn everything I can about battling cancer through nutrition, because I knew she knew very little about that. And I started, you know, I'm here in Boulder, Colorado. I'm surrounded by health experts of all stripes, you know, from the doctors to the shaman and everybody in between. Yeah. And but one of the things that kept coming up over and over among every sector of those experts was cannabinoid, CBD. And I started buying CBD from my mom, and she was a professor at the time living over in Dubai. And I was sending her CBD illegally. You know, it was
I was going to say, can you do that? You can't send that stuff over to Muslim countries, brother.
No, you cannot.
That's not allowed.
No, you cannot.
I'm sorry. I was like, whoa, you sent it to Dubai, and you're not and your mom's not in a Dubai prison right now? How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, you know, it was that important. And it was also expensive to send it over there. And, you know, at the time I was just buying CBD, kind of anything I could get my hands on. And this was, you know, again, 2014, 15, this was really early on. And I did that for 2 years, and I just never built up any sort of affinity or loyalty for any of the brands that were out there. I had all these questions. You know, I was really learning more and more about natural remedies, everything outside of CBD as well. But I was asking hemp companies, you know, what is it about your company? What do you guys do? Where do you grow your hemp? Who's your farmer? How do you extract? What are you in this for? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And I wasn't getting the answers I was looking for. And then in 2017, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out and learn more about this. I'm going to go talk to hemp farmers. I love driving country roads. I love meeting farmers. I love talking to people. And I had some free weekends, and I hit those country roads, and I was meeting the farmers that were working for the big guys, and they came highly recommended. And, you know, they were nice people, and they grew great alfalfa and great corn, but they were growing their hemp the same way they were growing their alfalfa, and that was for quantity and not for quality. And they were telling me about how cheap their prices were, and you know, and I was looking for somebody who was growing for quality. I wanted somebody who was, you know, had 1 acre going, not 1,000, and was doing everything by hand. And finally, I kept hearing about this one farmer in Paonia on the western slope of Colorado, beautiful, God's country. And Chris, I know it's close to your heart.
Delta. I grew up in Delta on the farm, man. That's and my family's still in Grand Junction. So yeah, it's still gorgeous out there, bro. Wonderful place.
It is gorgeous and just wonderful people and great farmlands. And you know, Paonia is a bountiful place. It's been there's vineyards there, there's orchards there, some of the best peaches. I mean, the Japanese will come and buy a peach for, they'll buy one peach for $100. And so it's a special place. And finally connected with this farmer, and he was growing all about quality. He was vortexing the water. He was creating his own soil amendments, and he was playing reggae and binaural beats to his plants, and I mean, just the whole 9 yards. And so I knew he was our guy, and it really started with him, and it started with great quality ingredients, and then also with people. And you know, if you know Ned, you know our farmer Jonathan, you know his family, you know his dog, you know where he is. In fact, the GPS coordinates of his farm are on every bottle of our hemp products.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So it really started there, and honestly, it was just going to be a side hustle. I wanted to make my own batch for my mom. I started using it myself. I was a endurance athlete.
Yeah.
Sorry. And endurance ass. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
That's me. I'm an endurance ass. My wife will tell you that all the time. Definitely. It's just I never stop shutting up and being a jackass. That's my trait. That's what I got. So I'm with you there, Rhett. I got you, brother.
So yeah, that's kind of the origin story, but it was also about a deeper reason for me too, which is I'm a firm believer that as a society, we have gotten far too disconnected from nature and natural processes. And we're far better, far more able to thrive when we're connected with nature, when we're doing according to nature. And so, wanting to see an alternative to pharmaceuticals, wanting to see people understand where their products came from, understand who they came from, where they came from. And so that's really kind of the underlying meaning for me and the purpose for me for Ned. It goes, it started with my mom's cancer, but it was really something deeply rooted in me, which is my love for nature and the healing that I've found through nature.
Well, it's spiritual almost. I mean, in my opinion, that's why I like running trails. I'm a spiritual runner. I'll hit the road and the pavement and it sucks, and then I'll get on a trail and it's like I can run forever and never.
Yeah.
But that's how it is, and that's the importance of it. And for me, being a veteran, I had a lot of us, and the main reason I got on Ned, it wasn't for the inflammation of the joints or anything, or the ulcerative colitis. It was to get off the antidepressants and the anti-anxiety drugs that we have as veterans. And then, of course, all the wonderful side effects that I got, not only just getting off the actual pharmaceutical drugs, which are, I mean, you're all over the place. You're just up and down, up and down. Ned, I'm finally leveled out. I know you have a big a heart for veterans, but and forgive me, I don't think any of y'all ever served. Where did that come from? And that's one of the reasons why, of course, we want you to be part of this and part of Battleline, because I'm a veteran, and I want my buddies to stop committing suicide. I want my buddies to get off pharmaceuticals and not go down that road like I did. And granted, I came out the other end, but what was your relationship with the veteran community and actually finding us out? I mean, really, and deciding to come with us. I'd like a lot of our veterans to hear that story and how you support them, because you do immensely.
Yeah, well, it's been a long road, but I would say that let me start with Josh Jasperson. Josh, I believe was a guest on your podcast.
You know what happened? We recorded like a whole thing, and it was just like a lot of technical issues. And I did get to speak with Josh though, and I know Josh was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah. Well, Josh is an amazing guy.
We'll forgive him for being a SEAL. That's the Ranger talking. That's all right. I'll forgive him. I knew of Josh within the communities, and he's a tremendous athlete. Yeah, so that's it. No, outstanding guy. But yeah, go ahead. We keep cutting you off, Rhett. My bad, buddy. Go ahead.
No problem. I love it. So I met Josh probably back in 2015 or so, and Josh had just snowboarded, splitboarded, so basically climbed up every one of the 14ers in Colorado. There's 56 of them, and then snowboarded down them all in one winter. And this is a massive feat. I mean, this has only been done once and never again on a snowboard. It's been done on skis, I think, twice. But Josh took that upon himself after leaving the SEALs, and it was his way of finding the therapy that he needed. So Ned, I heard about this. I said, man, that is just so badass and so cool, and we got to sponsor this guy, because he was just dirtbag to the nth degree. I mean, he bought a $900 van, and he was duct tape on every single thing. And I said, let's get this guy some help. And then we sponsored a book that he created, and just learned a lot about Josh. And he had also been taking, just buddies, other SEALs, other veterans of all the branches out into nature for healing. And he was sick of seeing his buddies committing suicide. He was sick of seeing his buddies on all types of medication. And he also had heard about a little program that happened right here in Boulder, Colorado, where a climber started taking veterans rock climbing on the first Flatiron, which is it's not a very difficult climb, but it'll definitely it's got some pucker factor for sure. And he found that those veterans were able to get off a lot of their medication, and it's very similar to the surfing that's happening, and a lot of these programs that are going on in the outdoors. And so I loved talking with Josh about this. I was really encouraging him for a couple of years to formalize it, start a group, start an organization. I think he had some other folks in his ear about it, and he finally did. And he created Veterans Outdoor Advocacy Group, which I'm a very proud founding board member of. And I just love our mission. It is, honestly, that is in the last 5-6 years or so, that's when I really became much closer with the veteran community. Before then, I had always considered serving, but I had never done it. And there's a bit of a guilt factor there. So I really love supporting veterans through Vogue, supporting veterans through Ned, and really anything I can do. And then, when your show, the opportunity to sponsor your show came up, I said, well, there's another great way to do it. Let's go for it.
I appreciate it. And I know Josh has a potty mouth like I do too, but I still want to apologize to you. I know I throw them F-ball. The Ranger comes out of me every once in a while. I just can't stop it, man. I try, but and that being said, I have been just overwhelmed with not only the product, but how you've grown too, from where we used to get an email every once in a while to now you're getting a daily newsletter, which helps. And then I see Josh's story, which you push his story out on the emails every once in a while as well. For the future, you got more stuff, more products coming out, and specifically for veterans, what does Ned have in the future, just for everybody, but also I'm interested for me as a veteran myself, what do you have coming online? And are you going to do more things through Vogue to help veterans? And you're in Colorado, but do you get out of Colorado? Do you do other things throughout the United States? And if you do, where can they find you, man? Because I'm a big proponent of getting outside as well. That is extremely therapeutic, especially for guys that and guys is a gender neutral term. Again, guys, I always say that on the show, is a gender neutral term on our Battle Eye podcast. So guys and girls, men and women. Yeah. But getting outside, veterans, is extremely important for therapy. But if you're doing that, where can they find you? Because I don't know. I really wish everybody did, but as far as they don't, but I do want them to know.
Yeah, well, right now is a great time to find Vogue because we're doing what we're calling 31 for 31, and it's 31 expeditions outdoors with either a Vogue instructor or a mountain instructor who's associated with Vogue, or a fly fisherman, a surfer, et cetera, et cetera. 31 adventures, and that's 31, the number 31, because that's the number of American servicemen who perished in the helicopter crash in Afghanistan. And so I believe we still have at least 15, maybe even 20 of those to go. And so we're always looking for veterans to sign up. And for me, I can't believe it's not like, sign up at midnight and it's done at midnight 01, So, but we're looking for other veterans to go outdoors, have a good time, and literally, leave their troubles behind.
And I believe you're talking about I could be wrong, Are you talking about the Extortion 17 crash? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Extortion 17.
Yeah, that I think a lot of our audience knows about. I mean, that's a crazy thing in history that happened, and the amount of guys, as you said, who have lost their lives. And I do love what you guys do. It's funny. Chris and I will sometimes joke that I feel like Ned is like the least bro vet company that sponsors us, or sometimes like, do we fit in with what you guys do? But I think you guys do stuff that appeals to like such a broad audience, that it's like veterans who get involved, artists, independent artists, people who are into alternative medicine, even some of the crazier alternative medicine out there. Like in my view, the people who like to try out ayahuasca and mushrooms, but this is a part of their everyday daily life, and it's become a part of my everyday daily life because of the fact that at first I wasn't really sure what the effects of CBD were, and for me, just that 300 milligram dose, that's all I need. I'm not looking to do anything that's going to do anything really other than calm me, help me get a great night's sleep. But for people who are into the, I guess you would say, more extreme things, I had a question for you. I wasn't speaking with you guys at Ned. I was speaking to someone else in the CBD community. And I know in the past couple of years, there's been the popularity of that Delta 8 CBD, which actually does get you high, which is unlike what you guys do. And I have no interest in trying it. I'm not looking to get high. But when I go to South Florida, for example, I'm seeing more and more Delta 8. And I'd like to hear your perspective on this. The other person I spoke to, and it was, like I said, from another CBD company, said that a lot of that Delta 8 stuff is made in China. It's not reputable. It's not something you want to take. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's very true. It's also honestly true of a lot of the CBD industry. CBD, a lot of the companies are just looking to buy it as cheaply as they can. They have no idea who their farmer is. And neither do their customers. And a lot of CBD comes from China, especially isolate. Isolate would be when it's extracted down into one isolated cannabinoid. CBD is the most famous one. THC is another cannabinoid. CBN, CBG, CBC, et cetera, et cetera. There's over 120 of them. But a lot of that isolate is coming from China, and that's being purchased for just bottom dollar. Companies looking to just to get the cheapest they can, obviously to boost their bottom line and their gross margin. So, it's not exclusive to Delta 8. Delta 8, though, is it's not something, honestly, I know much about. I know the basics. I know everything there is about cannabinoids, but Delta 8 is not something we're interested in. I see it a bit as sort of a stopgap in places for where legal marijuana use it has not yet come online yet, like Florida, or fully recreational marijuana use. But I also see it as, the way we do it, working directly with one farmer, and then doing a cold ethanol extraction, which is the purest, cleanest type of extraction, which is also the most expensive because it's the most time consuming and uses the most resources to extract it. But, we wouldn't use an isolate. So it's just never fit into our business code. And honestly, that's why I don't know a ton about Delta 8.
Well, you guys have ethics. That's when you first came on, that was the biggest thing for me is your ethics. And I always see that with the company. You're right, not mass producing. They must have some ethics here. Let's work with them because and it shows a lot in your products. For people that may be trying that, I know you say you don't know much about the Delta 8, but the other variants that are out there, especially the ones from China, there aren't, in my opinion, I don't know of any dangerous side effects using Ned. I haven't had any bad side effects at all. All my side effects have been good as far as the anti-inflammation that I didn't expect. But can you warn, is there something, or would you mind if you can warn people if they want to go that route? We're not pushing, I know you're not pushing Ned. I will push Ned. I will push that all day. But what is the dangers that are out there if you decide to go with a cheaper brand or a brand that isn't regulated or something you are getting from China that obviously isn't regulated, as well as stuff that we have in Paonia from a single farmer in a small area that you have complete control of? What's the dangers? What are the side effects? And because that's important. I don't going to get people to not take those things is they know if they're going to have something growing out of their forehead, in a couple of weeks, they say, whoa, hold on. So can you explain that at all? And I would love to know, because I don't know much about the other companies out there because I've never had to deal with them.
Yeah. Well, as far as side effects go, they're really, like you said, the side effects are typically beneficial, right? You sleep better, you're less depressed, less anxious, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the side effects. There's no, long list of things that they're rolling off at you after the end of the pharmaceutical commercial with leaky stool and all that.
You can take this, but you may die if you do. But it's a real click right at the bottom. I was kind of laugh at those things, but you're spot on. Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, it's a plant. Even isolate is not going to be bad for you. It's just going to be, you're probably not getting your money's worth on a lot of these products. You're not going to feel the same effects. You don't want an isolate because you really want the full entourage effect, and that's all the cannabinoids. So if we think about those cannabinoids as different constituents, different compounds of the hemp plant, you really want them all. It's like a rock band, right? You got the lead singer, and he's the famous guy. He gets all the girls, and that's CBD. But without the drummer and the bassist and the lightning guy and the merch gal, it doesn't all come together. So that's what you want. You want that full spectrum. Now, for anybody whose job depends on passing a drug test, you want to be careful because our product is full spectrum, and which means that we have all of the cannabinoids, including a tiny trace amount of THC. So we have less than 0.2% THC, less than 0.2. Now, if you wanted to get high, you would want at least 10%, oftentimes more like 20%. So we're, a very small fraction of that. And you will not get high using our product unless you take just an absurd amount. But if your job depends on passing a drug test, we straight up tell you, please, don't use our product. But, the chances of failing a drug test after using our product is very, very small. But even if it's that, even as small as it is, I don't want that on my conscience. I'd rather you use either an isolate or, better yet, a broad spectrum CBD product, a broad spectrum hemp product. Broad spectrum means that there's no THC. Full spectrum means that there is THC. Isolate means that there's only one compound, and it's usually CBD or CBG.
Yeah, the thing that's just been important for me, as I said, is a great night's sleep, remembering my dreams, and that's how you know that this is working. And it's like you're not getting high, but you almost feel like you're on a cloud at a certain point. I guess that's the only way I can describe it. You definitely do feel a difference. And the thing that I think people need to realize, whether you're on the 300 milligram or if you go up in dosage, it's going to be a subtle effect. I think most of the time, I would say any supplement that's going to have like major impacts right away, and that's how they're advertising it, it's probably bullshit, because it's just not the way supplements work for the most part. And that's why I'm always skeptical of a lot of supplements. And whether it's, I'm actually drinking Bub's Naturals right now, the collagen with the MCT oil, or whether it's what you guys do. We get emails all the time, and you've seen them from veterans saying, I no longer have joint pain. I no longer have, knee pain or back pain. But the important thing that I think people realize, because on the other end of that, I sometimes see it when Chris advertises for Bubs, or I sometimes even see it with Ned, where someone tried it one time and they'll go, this stuff doesn't work. If you're looking for like a miracle, that's not what it's advertised as. It's something that you need to have as a part of your daily regimen, and you're going to see some subtle effects that are really going to change your life.
Yeah, no, that's really well said, Ian. And, we say consistency is key. Without consistency, the first time you take our product, you probably can expect to sleep better, but you shouldn't expect your inflammation to go down, your depression, your anxiety. And then, the other thing is, it's not a silver bullet. If you're, if you're stressed out at work and you're drinking 6 cups of coffee and then slamming 6 beers and eating like shit, like you're shoveling in a blizzard, right? So it's just, it's not a silver bullet. Consistency is key. It is a supplement. It is natural. It's not a shot of tequila. You're not going to feel it immediately. Although, the product you mentioned, Chris, at the top of the show, our Relief Balm, which just launched today. One,
I got it, man.
Yeah. That one, you're gonna feel that right away, because that's a topical analgesic, and we added menthol and camphor for that like icy hot feeling. So I used Tiger Balm as an endurance ass for a long time.
I used that for a long when I was in the Rangers. That's what I used, that little Tiger Balm. Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then a couple of years ago, I looked at the label and I was like, oh shit, I've been poisoning myself. It's petroleum jelly, a ton of chemicals, and anything. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not good for you. Anything you put on your skin is going to go right into your body, right into your bloodstream. Your skin is just like a mouth. And so I talked to our formulator and botanist, and I said, can you reverse engineer Tiger Balm to use only organic ingredients and make it even better? And she's like, probably.
That's so cool.
And she did.
I'm not going to lie, I've used Tiger Balm as well, so this totally appeals to me. I get a lot of neck pain, and it's still recurrent at times. So I'm interested. I'm sold.
Oh yeah. So it's different from all our products, right? Because you will feel it within 5 or 6 minutes. You feel that like icy tingling sensation. While you're feeling that, it's also working. There's 500 milligrams of full spectrum cannabinoids in there. There's a ton of great botanicals, great for the body, great for inflammation, and you got that like immediate feeling. So it's a new kind of product for us, and I love it. I've been using it now for a year. I've had the samples for over a year, and
you've been holding out for a year, dude. You've been holding out for a year. Okay.
We've been waiting for the right time to launch it, and now's the time. So,
hey, what is the difference? Because I use the body butter and it works well. And actually, I've had a lot of success stories. People that have written me, especially those that are getting a little up there in age with arthritis. It says, "Oh my gosh, I put the body butter on, and now I can move my fingers." So, is the difference just that the body butter? I don't know. I can feel it right away when I put it on. I can. Maybe I'm paying attention to it. It does definitely help when I have severe inflammation of my knees but yeah. So what's the difference then? Is it mainly the menthol and the cooling sensation, or is there actually it's a different makeup of cannabinoids of CBD that are in there?
No, it's the same level of CBD. So 500 milligrams in the body butter and in the relief balm, but it's also it's the menthol camphor. It's that like relieving pain, right sensation.
There. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it's a great product. I really love it. I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited about it now too. And to be honest, I didn't know about it until we started talking. So that
are you not signing up for the text?
I do get a lot of emails. I don't know about the texts. I do get the emails. I haven't seen that yet. So I'm stoked for it. I wanted to ask you something totally unrelated to CBD, totally unrelated to full spectrum hemp. I just thought it'd be interesting to know. I mean, you are a guy who loves nature. You talk about the healing effects of nature, the reason that you chose Paonia, Colorado. You're a guy who's visited different countries. I'm wondering, like, what's on the bucket list next for where you want to visit? What do you want to see? And then who do you want to go with?
Oh, man. Yeah, good question. So 2 weeks ago, I was asked by a buddy of mine, Bart Foster, who started something called Business Outside here in Boulder, Colorado, to help him facilitate a group of 55 CEOs that flew in from all over the country to do business outside. And it was awesome, man. I've got goosebumps now thinking about it. But these guys and gals came in from all over the country, just ready to get after it. And it was, all different walks of life, all different types of businesses. And we got them outdoors, and we started, working with that connection with nature to become more focused and creative and start to worry less about shit. And I led a Wim Hof cold plunge in the Boulder Creek, and
in April. When was it? April or May? When
did
you do it?
In middle of May. So it was pretty cold. It was that water was snow 24 hours earlier.
Wow.
And I thought of the 55 attendees, I thought maybe 20 would come, and I think it was more closer to 50. And we all got in the Boulder Creek, and we stayed in for 6 minutes or so. And
6 minutes, wow, that's like some Navy SEAL shit, right, Chris? I mean,
well, it was.
Do you not care about hypothermia? There's this thing called hypothermia out there. I don't know if Ned can help you with hypothermia. If it does with that as well, tell me the product I can take for hypothermia, man. I'll be all on it. Wow, that's impressive, man.
Actually, it was something we all got. It was a tool we all have, which is our breath, and we used our breath work, Wim Hof style, to calm our nervous system, stop the shivering. And it was just awesome. And so what would I like to do? I'd like to get more people outdoors. I'd like to do so all over the world. I'd like to go down to Patagonia is the top of my list. Alaska is the second place. Mongolia. I've just gotten into adventure motorcycle riding, and nice. Man, I've got a lot of places I want to go. I'm a big fly fisherman. A lot of fish I got to catch. And I want to get into surfing, I got a lot of passions, but my biggest passion is right here at the Ned quarters. And I love what I do. It is totally a passion. What I was doing before Ned was not a passion. I was selling hotel furniture, and I was very, very good at it. I was at the top of my game. And it was just a soul-sucking existence.
That's a good question for you then. I mean, because I think a lot of people are at jobs that they don't want to be at. And I'm wondering, for you, if someone is in that state where they want to explore their passion, they want to make their passion their career, you've done it. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to say, yeah, just follow your passion, right? Like, as if that will cure everything. It does cure a lot, and there are days that you get through because if you love something, you'll do anything for it. Like,
Yeah.
you'll do anything for who or what you love, and I love this, so I'm willing to suck up a lot, but it's still a lot to suck up. It's not like you follow your passion and you're, it's just every day is fly fishing or every day is surfing. You gotta work with the accountant. You gotta do the things you don't want to do, and but it does help when you love something. So you're kind of like already ahead of the pack when it's something that you do have passion for.
That's the passion you have, and that's a good statement, and that's what honestly a lot of us veterans have issues when we get out, is because that direction and passion that we had, it's we don't have that anymore until we find whatever that passion is next. But sometimes we don't ever find it, and that's sad to say, but it's the truth. But to be honest with you, with products, this does help. And I'm telling veterans out there, guys, but you're spot on. It doesn't help right away. I didn't even notice it until 3 months down the line, where my wife said, "Hey, you're not an endurance ass anymore. You're actually leveling out, man." And I literally didn't even notice it. And that's why I try to tell guys, when you're on it, you may not even notice till somebody says something to you. And then you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I am leveled out."
Yeah.
But what that helped me do, is it allowed me to refine a passion in something else, is because I wasn't angry all the time. And that is kudos to you guys for that. And kudos to you guys for making a great product and having the ethics and being totally transparent with the THC, which is important, because a lot of our veterans also go work in government service and they're sorry, we can't take it, but at least they know. So, but I'm amazed at you and what you've done. And I can't believe, how are you guys still in Boulder with costs so high? I still pay attention. Are you going to stay in Boulder, or can you afford? I know Ned's doing really well, but so is the cost of things. Or are you guys aren't moving from Paonia? At least the farm's staying there, right? Are you thinking about moving out of?
No, we wouldn't turn our backs on Jonathan. He's a huge part of our company, and we actually pay him far more than the market rate. So we basically take the market high for the year, the absolute high, and then we double it, and then we think about how much else he needs. Because 2 years ago, after everybody and their mother grew hemp 3 years ago, there was a massive glut of hemp, and prices plummeted, and they were 1/6 of what they had been. And if we were to have paid Jonathan just the high of the market, he would have made $42,000 for all of his efforts over the entire year. And that's including his costs. So we paid significantly more than that. We paid about 4 times that. And that allowed him to continue to do what he does, and to continue to build the beautiful straw bale house that he's building on his farm for his family. And
wait, did you say straw bale? He's building a straw bale house. And also, I got to see a picture of that.
It's
man.
Spectacular. It is spectacular. I mean, these are, picture straw bales, they're what, 2.5 feet thick?
Yeah.
That's how thick his walls are.
I used to play on those things when I was growing up in Delta. We had straw bale. My mom would always be freaking out because she thought we'd build little forts and little things inside them because there's straw bales everywhere. And my abuelo, my grandma, and my abuela, my abuelo, my grandfather, my abuela, my grandmother, and my mom, they're like, "You guys need to quit doing that," because they were always afraid that it was going to collapse on us. But those were the coolest things to play. I got to see a picture of that. That's so amazing.
Yeah, he basically stacks the straw bales and then adobes them. And it's as insulated as it gets, and it's a beautiful big place. And he's done it all himself with his neighbors and his wife, Liz. And it's just they're just special people. So no, we're going to keep paying them way, way above market price. That's just non-negotiable for us. It's getting tough, but we're just getting smarter and smarter. We're finding ways of doing things cheaper and still keeping everything here in Colorado.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And I sorry I put you on the spot there. Hopefully with Jonathan,
No.
I was like, I hope I didn't like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Why did I say that? Now he's going to say he's just fired Jonathan. And, oh my God, what did I just do? I don't know.
Not at all.
Because that means a lot to me with my tie to Colorado and my tie to my grandfather's farm out there in the Western Slope. It does. I know how good that is out there. And I know the people out there. I grew up with them. And my grandfather was a picker. I know the difficulty of pickers out there. He grew up, and then but I also know they worked their tail off because he went from picker to owning his own farm. I mean, that was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's just there's a reason why I did what I did, and I didn't quit, and I kept going over. I learned that from him and my grandmother, and also my mom. Brother, you're awesome, man. I tell you what, and having you on, I got to have you on again. I know me and you want you on again. We'll work around your schedule because I know you're a busy man, but just having you on and your motivation, you never quit. I'm glad, to be honest with you, I tell guys, I'm glad the ones that didn't serve, even though they felt like they needed to, but they didn't. I always tell you, brother, probably was a bullet with your name on it. So I'm glad you didn't, because if you did, I said, and that's not a bad thing. It's just a saying we have in the community. I say the same thing to Bub's founder, Sean Lake, who's Bub's best friend. I said, guys, because if that would have happened, you wouldn't be making a difference in guys' lives like myself, which you did. You made your product, and you helped me not want to put a bullet in my mouth, man. And I'm being honest with you. And you've also had some things over. So I want you guys to know that. I want you to know that I admire that you have some. I do admire that you wanted to serve. I really do. I think that's admirable, just having the want to serve. But I'll be kind of selfish. I'm glad you didn't, because if you did and you didn't come back, then I wouldn't be here enjoying time with my family. So, man, I appreciate it, bro. I really do. And you guys mean a lot to me and your company. And we will continue to push Ned out there, and we want you guys to be the biggest CBD company in the world, because you deserve it and you have the best product out there by far. So, man, I know I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm going to start crying. Knock it off. Stop making me cry, guys. Stop making me cry. All right. But I appreciate
honestly, it. You don't know what that means to me, Chris. Well, really.
But I'm glad I got to say it to you here, and I wanted people to hear it, because you're awesome, dude, and people need to know that. And your company's awesome, and you keep doing great things. And I can't wait to get the topical, the analgesic. I can't wait to get the rub, man. I can't wait to try it, because I just ran 4 miles today, and I'm 51 years old, and I'm not sore. I'm not, but why wait till I get sore? Let's just get the rub on right now, so I don't ever have to worry about getting sore. But man, thank you, and tell everybody at the company too. Everybody there, thank you. And dude, I know Ian maybe have a question. I just want to say thank you for coming on. But I don't know if he does, but I know I don't. I just want to say thank you for coming on and being an awesome guy. Really are.
Well, again, Chris, you don't know what that means to me. Truly, I'm emotional. It's I never thought of it that way. And I know that sometimes I'll have resistance on things, and it turns out that, that was the right resistance to have for one reason or another. But I never thought of it that way, and so I appreciate you. And I'm going to double down. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to double down everything that I can do. Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's awesome, man. Thank you for doing so much for the community, and also, I mean, just making us both believers in what CBD is and the healing power. And like I said, I was one of those skeptics too. You hear about, there's so many supplements out there, and I love trying different supplements. I really do. I was just at the Memorial Day Air Show, and there's vendors out there giving out different supplements, and there's stuff that I liked. There's stuff that I don't know much about. But I found something through you guys that truly made a difference. And I think if you go to Vitamin Shop, and you'll see a ton of things out there that I think are pure placebo. The thing about the supplement industry, I mean, you can just watch a documentary like Bigger, Faster, Stronger. It's very different than Food and Drug Administration, because it's completely unregulated. That they can put something on the shelves that is pure placebo. There's no testing that needs to be done, so it's hard for people to do their homework. It's just it's a tough thing. And like I said, so it was great to find something that's fully transparent, that you guys have lab reports on, that you work with doctors, and that people know is just a great product. And yeah, we love what you do. And it's also, I should throw out there, it's proven by athletes as well. Guys we've had on, like Chad Solomon, running, and I shouldn't say running because there's a triathlon, running, biking, and swimming. An Ironman, I mean, that's another level of an endurance athlete. And if he says it works for him, then what I'm doing in terms of working out, I mean, I work out hard, but it's nothing in terms of an Ironman. And if it's something he swears by, that's truly good enough for me.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Hey, I've got a question for you guys. I don't know if we've got the time, but I've got a question for you. Yeah. 5 minutes or so ago, 5 minutes or so ago, we were talking about passion, and it occurred to me while we were talking, veterans are some of the most passionate people there are. And the reason for serving comes, I got to imagine, in large part from the passion, love of the country, love of brotherhood, etc. So it's not like, and then you said, Chris, what do you do after that? So it's not like that passion goes away; it just disappears. No. How do you? What's the best? I know there's like, some great organizations, Rincon, and what are some of the ways that veterans are extending that passion beyond their service?
Well, it's the passion is always there. What we have to realize, and it takes a little while for us to figure that out. And some guys, they never do. Sad to say, I've had a lot of buddies. I won't give the number out. Well, I do, and I that have committed suicide, either legitimately committed suicide or drove their motorcycle 120 miles an hour and hit the side of another car. They did that. I know why they did it. It's that we need to. When we finally leave the service, whether it's to our own accord because we got out, because we wanted to, because we ETS'd, because family and stuff, or we got out and it wasn't our own accord. I have a buddy, Rob Jabber, who we had on, who was a contractor that got blown up in Iraq. And he has a hard time with it because he wasn't ready, but he had to get out because of his severe injuries. So he had to leave. So he wasn't on his own terms. But what I found, the ones that are successful and continue on, is that they find something that they're able to close that chapter. Even myself, I'm able to look back and go, okay, I was cool. I did some cool things back there for many, many years, but I'm able to close it and say, that was great. Now the next chapter, what is it? And the ones that can find that sense of direction through the help of groups like yourself, which they go out on retreats and they just talking to people. Sometimes that helps because then they realize there's other things out there that can make them happy. Or like myself, I just looked at the mirror one day and said, when I was going through those hard times, and I said, I can't live like this the rest of my life. What do I need to do? And I don't know. I'm very spiritual. I'm very religious. I'm even though I have a terrible mouth, I still am a very big believer in God. And I'm not, as a Christian, I never push God. Good Christians are never going to say, you have to believe in God. I'm just going to say, believe in something. There's something out there. I know there is. But I do believe my faith came in and said, you know what? You haven't been a father. You've been gone for so long. You have not been a father or a husband to your kids for 18 years. That is where your passion needs to be. And that's what happened. It really did. I reconciled with my wife that I divorced from, the mother of our children. We got remarried and I became a father, and I couldn't have been happier. When I'm home, when I'm not out, I do some public speaking from time to time. I do some teaching from time to time as far as farms. But when I'm home, I'm driving the kids to school. I'm the only dad that walks their kids into school because I want to walk my kindergartner into his first class. I do. That is my passion now. That is my passion, is to be the best father and husband I can be. Granted, again, I'm a runner. That helps. Being outside and running definitely helps. I do work out a lot. That helps. Getting all my injuries under control has helped immensely because I can go do those other things and I can go play with my kids without feeling pain, which is another thing. So again, thank you. Thank you for that. That's another huge, huge kudos to you guys. But we all have to find that passion of what it needs to be next. And through that, the only way we're able to do it is either you have an epiphany like I did when I got humbled because I was just screwed up and I just couldn't. I prayed and I said, hey, I need you to tell me what to do. Help me, God. Or we go to groups like yours and we meet people and we just find there's other things out there that we can do. Or you make that connection. It can even be and I've seen guys do this where they've made a connection with a CEO and a veteran and like, hey, you want to come work for us? And it's magic. I mean, it is. It's I don't want to say it's rare, but of course that is the golden ticket. That's the Willy Wonka golden ticket that everything works out correctly. Or like myself, where my family, I was able to, that's what I wanted to do. But I tell veterans out there, find groups like yourself. That's what I was asking. Find those groups where they're doing those things. Go to them, talk to them. You have to talk to people. You have to. You can't keep it bottled in. And you never know. You may meet that person there that either has a job for you, is doing something you might be interested in, or is having a wonderful life with their family and they love being a father, and you're seeing that joy and you're like, oh man, all right, I gotta go fix, excuse my language. I gotta go fix my shit, get back with my wife and figure out and be a father and a husband. But the only ways to do that is to talk and get out and meet people like yourself and go to the groups like Vogue, or go to the Horses for Soldiers, go on those cattle rides that some of my Rangers do. The cattle.
Oh yeah.
They go on
I was going to horsesforheroes.org, I believe. Rick Iannucci was a former Green Beret who runs that.
Iannucci
I love that group.
I have a Ranger buddy that does cattle drives like City Slickers, and they go and do that.
Cool.
Or coming. I know. We do make sure. Some of the guys do like farms. I don't. I love what Chris Kyle was doing. At the time, there is some danger to that. There's no doubt about it, because of of things we've done with farms. But there also is a huge family network there as well, and I sometimes bringing them out and just being outdoors.
Yeah,
that helps. So, but it's so many different things. But having groups like those out there where there are options, it at least gives the veteran an option. At least gives that veteran the ability to go and find out and find that purpose again. Because when we do serve, and I know I'm going long, guys. I'm on my soapbox here. We are actually. Rhett is the interviewer. I'm the interviewee. I'm the interviewer.
Well, this is my question for you. I love it.
Yeah.
This is important, brother. This is as important as it gets.
I appreciate that, man. But when we first go in the service, we think we have an idea what we want, whether it's infantry, whether it's special operations. But to be honest with you, that changes continually until we get to the spot that we feel that we fit to where that round. So even going in the service, we're still trying to figure out really what we want. Yeah, I had a Ranger contract. I thought I wanted to be a Ranger. Eventually, when I got there, I realized that was right. But there are some guys that don't. They have a Ranger contract and like, whoa, wait a second, this wasn't for me, and they go a different route, and that route works for them. It's the same when we get out, but we seem to forget that. We got to go, no, we still got to continue to press on. The Army forces us to press on. We don't have a choice. We got to get up in the morning and press on and figure it out. When we get to be civilians, we don't have that press anymore. So as a veteran and trying to be a mentor and an advocate for veterans, anti-suicide and against veteran suicide, I have to tell those guys, get off your ass and go tough love. Go figure it out. I'm not going to coddle you. Get out there. Get with those groups. Go talk to somebody. Go talk to not just a buddy, maybe even go talk to a counselor, but go get out there and find that passion again, because it ain't going to come find you. And I've been down those deep slopes, so I understand that. So that's my advice to all you veterans out there, but also as for groups like you to continue to help, just make sure it's available and people know about it. I think that's the biggest thing with veterans is we just don't know. We don't know really everything that's out there.
Yeah, and that to me feels like a failing. That energy, that passion doesn't get immediately transferred to the next thing. And it's like, God damn, if we could just you go from one thing to the next, and you've still got that fire, and there's none of this. I just wish that there was a much easier transition for people where they didn't have to count on the golden ticket of somebody offering them a job. And, you know, it was just a easy transition that was facilitated. And,
I
think it's also,
I wish there was.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's also individual. I mean, there's guys who just have the drive to do something huge when they get out, and there's other guys who are never going to have the drive, if we're being honest, right? I mean, when you mentioned before Rob Jabber, he's probably a perfect example. I know he's not a veteran, but he was a contractor, and according to you, Chris, and according to the interview right when he got out, he was like, all right, I'm going to start this limo company, and he wanted to be the best limo company, and that became his new passion. Or even when I was at SHOT Show and I got to interview Andy Stumpf real quickly, I kind of joked around about this on the podcast, but it was funny when I introduced him. I said, you know, I'm here I'm here with Navy SEAL Andy Stumpf. And he said, first of all, I'm not a Navy SEAL. And it made me think, am I getting this guy's bio wrong? Like, I felt like an asshole. And then he was like, I'm a former Navy SEAL, and there's a difference. And I know Chris and I have said, what the fuck's the difference? Like it's kind of ridiculous. But I think his point was to say, and he made it clear to me, and I don't think it was done in a way to be disrespectful. It was like, that was a great portion of my life, but that's no longer what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing all different types of stuff. And that's my passion now. He's like, it was a part of my life, but I'm not interested in reliving my years as a Navy SEAL. And I think that's how it has to be for everybody. I think even just as civilians, people relive their glory years. And I remember I recently heard, it may have been on Covino and Rich, that our friends Covino and Rich, that guys dress like the last year they were cool, or like the last year they were successful, and they're like stuck in the 80s or 90s. And I think it happens to everybody. And I think it's hard for everybody, civilian or veteran, sometimes to evolve and say, okay, what's the next thing? Let me stop reliving when I did this in the 90s. Or I do the same thing. I'm guilty of the same thing, of course. I think we all are sometimes. And I try not to get stuck in that. I mean, I'm only 35, but like in that old guy trap of like, and we all do, of like, music was so much better then, and movies were so much better then, and everything was so much better then. And I think at some point you got to evolve. Like, things are going to change, and you got to find new things that interest you and new things that you have a passion for.
And that's the truth. And for you, Rhett, on your company side in Vogue, I think just as a direct way, if you're able to do it, you know, you've got Fort Carson there. You've got a good Colorado Army. Actually, I was with 19th when Charlie Company, 59 19th Special Forces Group was up in Fort Collins. That was where I was stationed mainly out for. But you have a great Colorado Army National Guard right outside. Whenever there is transitioning out, they used to call it ETS, which was transitioning. You're ending your time in service is what it was. You know, they would have job fairs kind of, but they really weren't done well. I mean, just having Vogue at some of these. So that's when guys know. It's like, us guys, we have to see it. It's like, that may be something I'm interested in. And I know that's expensive, and I don't know all the logistics for it. But again, guys like myself, if we're moving out, we need to see it. We got to see that it's there. If we don't see it, we don't know. And there's a lot of times where we're just like, I don't want to go surf on the internet. I don't want to go. I don't want to do that. I don't want to try to look for something. And it really does have to find you, just like the Army. The Army found me. I didn't find the Army. I had a recruiter that saw me out of the middle of nowhere during my bachelor's degree days at Mesa State College and said, "Hey, do you want to go be a Army Ranger?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Sounds cool." But it's the same thing, you know, that it's got to find you, just like contracting found me. I didn't find it. I got medically discharged because of my ulcerative colitis after 8 years. And I got a call on the phone from Blackwater and Triple Canopy in 2003 saying, "Hey, do you want to go be a contractor?" I even know what a contractor was. So the opportunities came. So I would say just make sure you're visible, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure that you are visible. And also, you know, continue to do good with Ned and continue to support the veteran community. You know, you don't have to be a bro vet. In fact, I don't want a bro vet CBD company. I want a company that has ethics and does a great product and honestly has that passion to help veterans, even though they may not be a veteran. To me, that's more because, oh my gosh, you know, you love veterans because you just love them. I love veterans because I am one, and I love them too. I don't get me wrong. I love you guys. I do. Even you Marines, I do. But it does mean a lot. So yeah, brother, that is a huge long answer, but I wish there was a simple answer. There's not. There's just it's a huge answer. And it's always going to be a little bit of a problem. I think less so because we're not in the wars anymore. So we're not going to have we're more peacetime right now, kind of. I mean, but
unless guys go over to Ukraine, I mean, that's a whole nother
interview. Yeah. But brother, yeah, I just, please keep visibility out there, and I will do everything I can to keep you guys visible out there, because you've made a difference, because you're looking at one right here. So you're going to continue to make a difference. And that Vogue is huge. That's huge. Fly fishing, that's huge. Oh my gosh. I love fly fishing. That is so therapeutic for me. I suck at it. You got to tie my flies if I ever come out, because I still can't do it. But stuff like that. So I'm sorry, brother. I hope I didn't monopolize this whole thing. I'm sorry, man.
Please. No, again, this is the most important thing. And I'm really glad I was able to ask the question, and it's something that's I've been thinking about for a number of years now. And it's like, you've got this great, amazing group of passionate people with a ton of amazing skills, and then you just like kick them out the door. It's just, to me, it's like, it's a total missed opportunity
as a
business, as a government, as a people, as a society. Imagine if we could take, amazing people from the armed services and have a great transition for them for something else, whether that's, disaster relief or construction, or, but mobilizing and utilizing those skills and the leadership and the everything that comes with serving to do good for society. I just see it as a complete missed opportunity. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Well, guys like yourself that are a lot smarter than me are going to figure out how to do it. I mean, I can tell you the problem and I can tell you my experiences, but I need smart people like yourself that know business, know corporation, know how to lead people in that corporate world to figure that out. I mean, I hate to say it, but I can't do the military thing to the guys anymore. I can't force them to I can't make them have fun forcibly anymore. It's not possible. It's just, it's mandatory fun. No, I can't do that anymore. So, but brother, you figuring, if you can figure that out, and cause you're spot on, then then brother, that is the golden ticket. It definitely is for everybody. My thing, if you do hire veterans, challenge them. That's the one thing we don't, when we get this, we don't really feel a challenge, especially if we've seen combat. We never really feel challenged. Just nothing. It's like, all right, I'm late to work. Oh, what? That didn't, so what? I'm not getting shot at today. It's still a good day. Still, though, you still have to but it has to be done with kid gloves, because you're not a drill sergeant. You're not somebody that's been in their face hazing them like a Ranger team leader. So if you get in their face, all they're going to do is either walk, or they're going to give you the finger and then walk. But you still got to be able to challenge them. And if you can challenge them in the corporate world, all you corporate leaders out there, if you can challenge your veterans, it makes them feel like they're part of something huge, and it makes them feel like they're giving back to a corporation. And that is a key there. That's something I kind of learned from a lot of my Ranger leaders that went on to the next level, is that they had to change their leadership style, but they still challenged their subordinates and they challenged the veterans. And those are the ones that kept rising up. So I don't know, that might help. Again, you're the brains, brother. When you crack that code, man, I'll be the first one to put that out there for you and back I got your 6 on that. Definitely.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's well said, man. So if you guys want to follow Rhett personally, it's at I'm Ready on Instagram. I should say I am RETTY. I'm Ready on Instagram. Ned is just at Ned on all social media. Yeah. Hello Ned, of course, helloned.com. And I didn't write this down. The Vogue website, what's the best place for people to get involved with that?
Yeah, voag.org. voag.org.
I'm writing that down, of course. We'll make sure that that's in the description. And this has been great. It's been a packed show because we had Rob Furlong on earlier to talk about this Canada handgun ban and this, 2 very separate topics, but I mean 2 very important things. So thanks so much for finally doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Rhett.
Thank you guys. Big time. Thank you.
Right.
Big time. We love working with you guys. We love your audience.
Thank you.
This is, I loved our conversation today. We went deep, and I shed a couple tears.
I did. Yeah, I did too.
Which I didn't expect. I'm like, we're just talking about full spectrum hemp today, but we got deep somehow. You just
I know. I didn't mean. I sometimes go down those rabbit holes, man. But I wanted to tell you.
Well, thank you. That was an epiphany for me, Chris. The idea that, thank you. That meant a lot to me. And like I said, I'm going to double down because maybe that bullet didn't find me. And, I'm doing a lot, but we can always do more. And I'm going to keep trying to do more.
I appreciate it, brother.
Awesome,
we'll keep
man.
pushing out there. And of course, whatever you need from me. And if I can get out to Colorado to come to, if you wouldn't mind having me as a guest.
Absolutely.
You don't need to pay for anything. I don't want that. I just if I can come out and just be a fly on the wall or be a guest at one of your events that you have out there one of these days, I'd be honored.
Please do. Please do.
All right.
Please do.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for it.
All right.
Thank you both, gentlemen. Thank
Talk
you.
to you later.
That's all for this episode of the Battle Line Podcast. But we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battle Line Podcast and on Twitter at Battle Line Pod. To sign up for future Battle Line tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.